What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Crew Cab Dart YouTube channel. My name is Justin, and today we're back on the Hemi D150 as if we ever left it. Last video you guys saw, we did the Aces installation and we got it going down the road, and the truck has actually been running really good. But Holly Mo Party's coming up. We've got a lot to do before then. So first and foremost, I'm gonna apologize for the lighting and production quality of this video. It's not gonna be good. I'm gonna do the best I can. Working with 2 LED light strips and total darkness. We'll see how long that lasts. Anyway, so last you guys did see the truck is running and driving. You saw us install the Aces harness. It goes down the road. It runs great. Runs, drives, stops, pretty good. There is a ton of other things that it needs. It needs to look better. The interior is garbage, and all the engine bay wired harness, it all needs to be tidied up. It needs AC. It needs a lot of things still. And we're like currently right this second 16-ish days to Holly Mo Party, and I do plan on driving this truck, and I plan on taking the 68 Dart and the 72 Valiant. We're going to try to take them all. If that works out, great. If not, I don't know. Don't hold me to it. But I really want to take this truck. So before I can take this truck anywhere, really, we've got to get some of those key things knocked out. So let me bring you in. I'll tell you my plan, and we'll just got to get into it. We're running out of time. Like I mentioned, there's quite a few things we need to do to this truck before I would even consider taking it to Holly Mo Party, which is about a 500-ish mile trip. The truck, for one, it needs lowered. That is my main top priority. It is a piece of junk. The truck, garbage looking truck. But if it was lowered, it would be a cool looking piece of junk. So we got to lower it. I'll show you how we're going to do that here in just a second. 2, interior trashed. Now, it is torn apart more than it should be right now because I've been doing a little diagnosing on things. The cluster is over there and the bezels and no carpet and all that. I actually have a brand new carpet for it. Have some sound in there. The seat, yeah, we'll get to that. The interior, it's next on the list, kind of. And then third thing is the engine bay harness. I'd never cleaned it up from whenever I made it. I got rid of the fusible links or the duck's foot fusible links, whatever. I got rid of those. I wired in my own fuse box and relay box and everything, and that took a lot of custom wiring. I never got the harness cleaned up. So the harness is currently out, the fuse block and everything, it's currently out of the truck, and I'm working on luming all that up with some nice engine lume. It'll look good. I'm working on that. And then another thing we're going to have to do is, it's kind of hot. It's actually pretty cool out here right now. But the weather typically is warm enough for AC. And that is the last big thing this thing is going to have before we go, and that is AC. And I'm actually talking to Sublime Technologies right now, the boys that hit me up with all of my power steering, flow restrictors, and pressure reducers and all that to make the Hemi pump work with the factory truck box. I've got the adapter fittings that I need to put universal style fittings on the Hemi AC compressor. I'm going to be running this radiator is out of a 2020 Dodge Challenger, and I'm going to be running the corresponding 2020 Challenger AC condenser. They have adapters for that as well. And then they sent me the adapter piece that I need to bolt on to this factory expansion valve and put universal fittings on that. So ideally, our big checklist of things that I really would like to get done before we go to Mo Party is we need the truck lowered, we got to clean the interior up, we got to get the engine harness cleaned up, put back in, and we got to have AC. We're going to start with number 1 tonight, and let me show you how we're going to do that. So by far the easiest way to lower at least the front end of these first gen Ram trucks is to use the same year model Dodge Ram van lower control arm. So this is a control arm out of a 1993 Dodge Ram B150 van. As you can see, the spring cup is recessed in this versus way up here, and that control arm bolted onto the front of this truck in itself should give us about a 3-inch drop. Now, I actually have already done the driver's side. I'll show you that in a second. This is the factory driver's side control arm. You can see the difference in the cup. We do have to modify these very slightly. So the truck's strut rod bolts right there, and the van does not have those holes. So we're gonna have to do some measuring and drill some holes there. The van also has this like steering stop right there, and that interferes with the strut rod a little bit, so we don't need that. We need to cut that off. I've already done that. And otherwise, it's pretty well bolt in after that. Now, the van uses a 3/4 inch diameter bolt. I'm not sure the diameter of this bolt off the top of my head, but I just went to Tractor Supply and grabbed some 5-inch long, about 5-inch long there, 3/4 inch bolts, 2 grade 8 bolts, and I've got a 3/4 inch drill bit. We got to drill out where the bolt goes through the truck. We got to drill that out to 3/4, and then we got to drill these 2 holes here for the strut rod, and we should be able to get that control arm on. So before we get into modifying our lower control arm over there, I'm going to get the factory lower control arm off. I've already got the truck jacked up, the wheel off, we're on the jack stand, and it's really kind of a straightforward process of getting this off. So we got a mounting bolt back here, but before we do that, we're going to need to first and foremost take the shock off. If you run into the same trouble that I did, I had to cut the shock body in there, and it's kind of a pain because this will start spinning when you try to take the nut loose. Whatever. Get the shock off some way or another. There's 2 bolts on the bottom of the control arm. If you can get that loose, it'll drop out. You get the shock out. Then we take the 2 bolts for the strut rod off. I'll get those off, and then we have our lower ball joint. We got a car key and our lower ball joint nut here. I'll use the pickle fork because I don't care about damaging this old ball joint boot since we have a new one on our other control arm. So once we have the shock loose, the strut rod, and the lower ball joint taken loose, our control arm should come down. The spring does have enough tension to kill you, so you know, you got to play that as safe as you can. We're going to pry the spring out of there, and after we get the spring out of there and it's just kind of dangling, we can take our big nut and bolt up there loose, and then it should come out of place. So I want to get these things loose here, and I'll check back in with you. So we got our stock control arm off the truck. Now we need to modify our van control arm. So there's a couple different ways you can go about drilling the strut rod holes, but I'm going to use a method that I saw on the Stay Tuned YouTube channel. What we're going to do, I have a piece of string. It's actually a piece of floss here. Made a little knot in it, and we are going to find the center line of this control arm. I got a little knot that should end up putting me center. The ball joint's pretty well center. Then when I find the center of that bushing, and I'll go down from there. Attempt to go pretty flat. So as you can see, I've already got my mark up the center there. So that's my center line mark. So we're done. We're done with our string. And then we're going to find 2.5 inches from the center line of this ball joint and make a mark. So I'll get my little handy dandy tape measure, try to center up 2.5 inches with the ball joint, and then that's where you'll make your mark over here. I'll just kind of double check, cross reference, make sure we're all right, make our mark. I'm right there at it. So then take your marker, you got your center line, got your 2.5 inch mark, and then you'll go out 15/16 from the center line and make your dot. 15/16 from the center line. Got the dots made. Now I should be ready to punch and drill. And I got a 1/2 inch drill bit, but I figured out that 1/2 inch isn't quite big enough to have the bolts go through. So I'm just going to drill it to what I have for now, and kind of give her a little wallering, make sure the bolts will fit. So let me get that punched and drilled. Let me just put a hole in the bed. Next. Alright, I've got the control arm holes for the strut rod big enough that this bolt will go in. It might take a little extra work, but it'll go in. But before we can go try to hang it in the truck, we need to drill out the mounting hole to 3/4 of an inch. I need to take this drill bit and open up those 2 holes to 3/4. Okay, this might take 2 hands. You get the point. 3/4, open those holes up to 3/4 of an inch. Bam. Not the prettiest, but we've got it. So our control arm is modified for the strut rods, and the truck itself is drilled for 3/4 inch bolt. So there is one more thing that I want to mention you may want to do on your lower control arm. Last night, whenever I was doing the driver's side, I did everything like I just showed you. Went to go put the control arm in the truck, and from what I understood, nothing really changed. You know, between this control arm and the stock one, as far as where it went up and bolted through, other than having to drill that hole to 3/4 of an inch. But let me just tell you, I spent hours, probably 2 hours, trying to get this freaking control arm in place. So what I ended up having to do is I pulled it back out, I took the grinder, and I just cut just a little, just a little bit off there, and it slipped right in place. So I'm going to modify that, and then the next thing I'm going to cut is, so on the driver's side, these trucks, you have your gas tank, your driver, and your battery. Got a couple hundred extra pounds over here at all times. So they tend to have the Dodge lean, where they kind of lean to the driver's side a little bit. So what I am doing to counteract that is I cut, which I don't think you have to cut the coil springs when you do this lower control arm, but if you don't, you kind of got a little rake, little squat, and I'm not a fan of that. I want it to be pretty level. So, but I don't want to go as far as cutting a whole coil off. At least, this way I'm taking steps. So what I did, driver's side, I cut 1/4 of a coil off, because I anticipate the driver's side to naturally sit a little lower. And then for the passenger side, I'm going to cut a half around off. So it's not quite as much as the driver's side, so it should sit just a little lower. And from what I've gathered, a lot of guys do this and their trucks sit level. That's what I'm talking about. Look at that. Look how nice. Alright, let's try this again. Let's get this on there. There we go. There we go. Let's get this out here. Let's bring this whole combobulator up. There we go. We got the nut on. We can get our strut rod bolts in place. Done. All right. So you see we got our strut rod bolted on. You can kind of see what I was talking about, where this this steering stop would have interfered with the strut rod earlier. That's about, you know, where it hangs out there. So we got strut rod bolted on. We got our spring in place. I think I'm gonna have to cut that bump stop, but I really can't remember at this moment. So we'll play that by ear. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll just take a sawzall to it or something, or remove it and cut it, whatever. But now it's now we've got to tighten up our lower ball joint. We'll add our Carter key and our grease Alamite. Then I'll go ahead and add a little Loctite and our nut and lock washer to the lower control arm bolt. And we can put our shock on. And then I think that'll be good enough to drop it on the ground after that. So let me get these last couple little tidbits finished up, and then we'll see what she looks like. Moment of truth. I think I got everything back together. Tight, potentially. Loctite, maybe. Torque to spec, absolutely not. Put the wheels on it. Let's see what we come up with. Ooh. Yeah, that is so much better. So much better than the pawpaw stance. If we could just get the back, and the back should drop as much, if not lower, than this here. So this is gonna look really good. Yeah, sorry for the lighting. Lighting awful. We'll take another peek at it in the daytime. Yeah, that looks freaking sweet. That'll do it for now. I'll catch back up with you maybe in the daylight. All right, we're back. Daylight. We're ready to get the rear end of the truck lowered down. Here's a little look at the front end. Now that you maybe can actually see it. I think it sits really good. If it sits anything close to that, I'll be very tickled. So now we just need to get the rear end on the same page as the front end up here. And how I'm going to be doing that, I purchased just a couple of spring purchase from Speedway and a couple of U-bolts, and we are simply going to be taking this axle and moving it from the bottom of the leaf spring, and we're going to put it on top of the leaf spring. So there are a couple things we're going to have to do here, other than the obvious of just getting the axle up there. We're going to have to modify our shock plates. We're going to have to modify those. I'll show you that when we get there. And we're going to have to set our pinion angle, which I'm kind of nervous about. I haven't really done it much. I also don't have a welder here, so we're actually going to have to do the work, lower the truck, and then we'll load it up, take it to the shop, get it welded up. But for now, I'm going to get this thing jacked up. I'll probably just get things in place and kind of locked down, and then we'll figure out how to transport it and get it welded up after that. But let me get it jacked up and get this process started. I think my first order of business is going to be getting these old shocks off. Out of there. Number 2. Out of there. So I've got the e-brake cable disconnected. I was going to take the brake line loose, but it's not looking too happy up there, and I don't want to take it down here. So I have an idea. I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll see. My plan is we're gonna drop this. I got the rear shackle bolt out. We're gonna drop the rear end down. We're gonna get the leaf spring down, and we're gonna go this way and try to get the drum up through there. I don't know if it'll fit. We'll try. We'll go this way and get it up over there, and then we'll pick this one up under it. But I've got e-brake line loose. The ABS and stuff is chilling up there. Got the shock plates and everything loose. We're actually going to modify these in the future, but I'll show you that here in just a little while. So let me see if my plan will work. We'll just try it. That was a lot of wrestling. But we have our leaf springs we don't have our bolts and the shackles yet, but we at least have our purchase sitting there and the axle is on top of the springs. Now, I am seeing a potential issue here with exhaust. We may have to redo part of that. Not sure just yet, but I have it up here. I want to get the leaf spring back bolted in. I've got some U-bolts. I'll kind of get them started and just try to get it semi-permanently bolted in place. That way I can let it down, and then we'll have to take it to the shop and modify those leaf spring or those shock plates and weld on the purchase. But this is freaking tough. I ain't gonna lie to you. That is not a very fun job there. But I'm gonna take care of that, and I'll just touch back with you whenever I get this stuff back together, because you don't want to hear me cussing. All right, update. We're back together. We're not done because we still gotta go to the shop, weld purchase. We gotta modify the shock plates, but for now I have things bolted in place, and this is about how she's gonna sit. So I don't know what happened with the clip that I recorded right after that last piece, but something happened. It's lost. I'm having to pick up some pieces here, and I've done quite a bit of work since you guys last saw that clip. Right after that, we did load it on the trailer and we took it to the shop. I have a picture of that. I'll post it up here. We modified the shock plates where they used to curve for the axle. Dad took a piece of metal, a flat piece of metal, made them flat, drilled a hole in the center to locate on the leaf spring. We got that done. I'll post a picture of that. And we got it on the lift. We welded the spring perches in and took care of that, got that locked down. All's good there. The truck, you know, it sits down nice. So you might see a little sneak peek there. It looked great lowered, but the Steelies just weren't it. That weekend, I loaded up and went on a little trip, picked up some stock 3rd gen Ram 20-inch wheels here. There's the correct bolt pattern, but the center hub bore is a little too small on these than what it needs to be to fit on the truck. So I do have to have some 1-inch spacers there, but they fit. We're running a 245 45 20 in the front and a 275 40 20 in the rear. It fits. It does rub up front a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. I will say I went back and changed. Now, I think I had mentioned earlier, a lot of people use stock shocks on these, and you can, but they don't have a lot of travel. And I heard somebody tell me that you could use A-body shocks, and I had some old A-body shocks off of the Dart here. Threw those on. It's fine. Honestly, it does need a C-notch. It bottoms out pretty fast in the rear, but you know, it'd be all right for now. The exhaust, in fact, did not go back over the axle. There's no room there. We come out right here in front of the rear tire. I think it looks pretty solid. Pretty happy with that. It's still kind of quiet, but it's very nice as far as driving. Not too loud at all. We got slammed. I had a lot of stuff to do and not a lot of time. We was up working on this thing every night leading up to Mo Party, really late. But we got everything done that needed to be done. So I'll give you a little tour real quick. Interior, it's together. It's not perfect. We got our new junkyard seat in there, got our carpet sound deadener, all that good stuff. It's pretty solid. It cleans up nice. It's dirty right now. It does clean up nice. We did also get quite a bit of work done out in the engine bay. I got the engine harness taped up, tied up, loomed, and all that. For as much as we've got going on in here, I'm pretty happy with it. I still need to clean up quite a few things, but like I said, I was really running out of time. One thing I did get finished before we went on the trip, huge thanks to Sublime Technologies. We got this thing having AC. So that's Sublime Technologies adapter to convert from the factory expansion valve to universal style fittings. And then I just got this this AC line kit off eBay. We're using the Sublime Technologies adapters on the factory HEMI compressor. And if you look in here, I'm using a 2020 Challenger AC condenser. And they hit me up with the adapters to convert that Challenger AC condenser to universal style fittings. Everything went together pretty smooth, and the AC works. It blows ice cold. It just doesn't blow very hard. It's an issue in the box in there. It's a lot of air leaks around the box. No big deal. We'll get to it, you know. But there was a lot of stuff to do to this truck before we made it to Holly Mo Party, and I think I pretty well got everything I wanted to do done. And this is kind of our end piece here. I did swap up the headlights. We got some new marker lights in there, just some small things. I'm really happy with the way the truck turned out. I think it looks really good. I'll put a little action shot up here for you. I think it looks sweet. It actually already has made the Mo Party trip. So has the Dart. And we did run into some trouble along the way with this truck. So you'll have to watch the next video to see that. I really appreciate you guys for watching. I'm sorry this video was, it was kind of all over the place. The lighting wasn't good. I mean, that's what I get for trying to build a whole truck in 16 days. So I really appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate all your support. I would really appreciate if you'd like, subscribe, comment, do all that good stuff. It really helps me out a ton. I hope you'll tune in to the next video. I really appreciate you for watching. We'll see you later.